Welcome, everybody, to the Hounds podcast. This is your home for field trialing and deer dog hunting. It'll be stories and discussions on the world of dog hunting. So let's drop the gate, cast your hounds, and get ready for another episode of the Hounds podcast. The Hounds podcast is proud to partner with Outdoor Dog Supply again for the 2025 season. Outdoor Dog Supply is the leader in online garment sales with their world-class trade-in programs. These guys are not just a business, they're also houndsmen and women too. They test their products out in the field and really put them to the test. Get the latest in garment equipment, stay locked and ready with field trial equipment, collars, leashes, and so much more. Visit their website today at outdoordogsupply.com, and we want to thank Outdoor Dog Supply for their support not only for the podcast, but in the field trials across the country. When you're looking for your next purchase and equipment, keep Outdoor Dog Supply in mind. Now let's get this episode started, guys. Thank y'all so much. Welcome, everybody, to the Hounds podcast. This episode, we're going to be running solo again. I know probably most everybody's turning the episode off, so y'all excuse me. I'm trying, guys. I'm desperately trying. We had the first hunt of the podcast series this week, and we will talk about that here in a little bit. Then, it's holiday weekend. We have fireworks to go watch, and then the guest that is coming up is going to be one of those spur of the moment kind of things. He lives a very busy life, but I promise y'all, especially my pen guys, y'all are going to really enjoy this. He's a Hall of Famer. I'm absolutely just tickled to death that he's even coming on. So I'm gonna leave it as a surprise. I hope that hopefully here soon. If I can't get it by next week, I'm definitely going to be reaching out to some other people. I've had a lot of great suggestions on some guests. I just got to scroll back through, and I forgot to write some of them down. So been a little busy, obviously, here lately. But let's start the episode off right. We're going to start off with our motivational quotes. First one, I actually found two. The first one was unauthored. It says, he who conquers himself is the mightiest warrior. And the other one I really liked, it was right behind it, was either you run the day or the day runs you. And that one's from Jim Rohn. Both of those I thought were really pretty cool. And then our verse of the week is going to be from Matthew 11:28. Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Thank you. After this weekend, man, I tell you what, I was cooked when I come back home. I made the unfortunate choice, and we'll go ahead and talk about the first round of the podcast series. It was about a 3-hour drive for me to get down to Double C from where I live. And I made the unfortunate choice of not going down the night before. It was a choice that I wish that I would have reconsidered. Definitely should have went down the night before and stayed after getting down there and seeing how beautiful and nice of a facility and pen that was down there. I should have went down. That is 110% something I should have done, and we'll live and learn. And next time I go to Double C for a hunt, I will be going and probably staying the night. I can tell you what, because we casted at, I got down there about 3 o'clock because I knew we were going to cast at 5, and registration was going to start about 3:30. So, it was an early morning, but I tell you what, it was hot, and by the end of it, you could tell a lot of those dogs were starting to feel it. So, I'm glad we made the choice to go with the Kai. I'm glad we made the choice to go with the. Sorry about that. Dog was chewing on something he wasn't supposed to be chewing on. I'm glad we made the choice to go with the 5 a.m. cast. Yeah, it was early. It only had about 30 minutes of running in the dark, so it really wasn't all too bad. I think that helped a whole lot with cooler temperatures. I say cooler. I still think it wasn't no less than 75, 80 degrees. So definitely a tough hunt. But like I said, that if you have not had the opportunity to make it to Double C, I highly suggest you go down there. That is, if not the most beautiful and well-kept facility that I've ever been to. If it's not, it's definitely one of the top 3. It's definitely hard to compete with how they have it set up. It's a great little cabin, I guess you would call it, little building for registration. Got a full kitchen. I mean, couches that will absolutely suck you in and just put you to sleep. I had to make sure I stayed off of those things because I was not going to wake up if I did. But it is bar none setting a standard for fox pens. So hats off to the Cabrals. Thank y'all so much for letting us come down there. We'll get into the results later, but the running was top notch. We had 21 judges this week. Took 700 and I have to go back and look at the picture again. Took a little over 700 points to win. Upper 500s if my memory suits to get into the top 10. So real good hunt, good scoring. We had 79 dogs down there. Very, very pleased with the first round. Next up is going to be Hollywood. I cannot wait. That one's close to home. Yes, it is a midnight to 5 a.m., but at least it is a 15-minute ride for me. So sorry for everybody else that's got to travel, but 15 minutes for me. We're going to have 70 dogs down there. It's going to be a great hunt, guys. Got lots of good judges coming. I'm still kind of wrangling up a few extras along the way, see if I can't get some more in. But we're gonna put on a good show. Still gonna have the same prizes, 2 tons of feed. Thank you, Pride and Value Pack / Specialty Feeds for that. The clock's gonna be ready. Got a lot of good stuff going on, guys. So we're really excited for the next round. Last year we were supposed to go here and had some things happen where we just couldn't make it work. So we are going to make this year work here and have a good second round. So with this episode, I want to I've had some questions coming about that I've been asked multiple times. I'm sitting here thinking today of what I could do for an episode today for this week. And there was 2 things that really stuck out to me. One I've already talked about a little bit, so we'll hit on that one first. Weather conditions. There's a few things that I want to touch on. And one of them is it is super, super, super hot. And a lot of people will quit running their dogs when it's hot like this. And, if you're a deer hunter, then that's understandable. There's really no need to apply any kind of pressure when it comes to the heat like this. So I keep my deer dogs up, or if I am going to run, I make sure that I am as deep into where, I'm as deep as possible into the our block of woods, and I wait for, I get them on a fox or a coyote and get them out on those and run them for a little bit around. That's my off-season training during these hot months. But I wait until it's dark. I wait until I'll get up at 3 o'clock in the morning to go out and run for 2 or 3 hours, and then have them up, up and early in the morning. Now, as far as our foxhound guys goes, everybody's got their own thing, and none of this episode is me telling y'all that this is the golden ticket, that this is the way. This is just how I've been taught. This is my thought process behind it, if that makes any sense. Yes, it is hot. It is extremely, extremely hot, and you do have to be mindful of that. But I also don't take my foot far off the pedal. I may not be 100% on throttle, but we're going to be cutting her back to about 75, but we're not going to peel off. And here is my thought behind it. Like I said, I could be very, very wrong on this, but the way I've always been taught and the way I've always learned is if you teach these dogs to run in the extreme conditions, when they either have to run in the extreme conditions, it's not as hard on them. They don't buckle due to the conditions as fast. Of course, any dog, I don't care if you train in 100-degree weather every day of your life. you push them to an extreme in 100-degree weather, you stand the chance to cause some harm to them. So you have to be smart about it. You have to pay attention to them, pay attention to the dogs. And if they are getting exhausted, if they're burning out, if they are acting lethargic, then don't keep pushing them. Pay attention. But if your dog, if you can find that sweet spot where you can run your dog still, you can get them in there in this warm weather, and they learn to adapt and run to this warm weather. When it starts cooling off, this cool weather, or maybe here in the fall, you get you a nice, cool, crisp night, or maybe even you're the lucky one and you get a nice, cool, crisp morning of a hunt. That's going to feel like these dogs are running AC. These dogs are going to be trained and used to running in that hot weather, and they're going to be like, man, I'm going out here and it's only 60 degrees. Oh, we better burn it down right now. But I've always been a big believer in that. And I was always take my outside hounds and I'd run them. And, I'd run them into, I will still run my deer hounds if I'm trying to really get them back in shape. I'd run them into the daylight. Then when winter rolls around, yeah, you're talking about a different extreme and you have to pay attention to other things. But, our hunting season hasn't been cold in a long time. So when they get to running in these 90, 95 degree days, 80 degrees in the morning kind of deal, and they get out on a nice crisp 35, 40 degrees, they are going to just be, they're just going to be ignorant for them. So, the heat, again, yes, watch your hydration, pay attention to your dogs. What I mean by that is look at them, check their panting. If they're doing a lot of panting while they're just sitting still, then they're worn out, they're tired, they're probably getting exhausted, and they probably dehydrated a little bit. You need to make sure they're absorbing some kind of liquid. And another good way to check that is to pull up on the skin on the back, right between their shoulder blades. Pull up, let it pop back. The faster it pops back, the more moisture's in their body, the more hydrated they are. Same thing with a human. Seriously, obviously, we got pretty elastic skin anyway, but you can watch, and if you're dehydrated, your skin will take longer to recoil. Same way with a dog, but it's a lot more elaborate when you do it on a dehydrated dog. So that's one test, is just pop it up. If it takes a long time to go back, or it doesn't hardly go back at all, you are in severe dehydration. You need to be working on getting liquid to that dog and getting them rehydrated to get them right. I know going into day 2, day 3, especially during these hot hunts, you start popping skin and it ain't popping back. You need to be considering a FA. You need to pull them. The Hounds Tales podcast would like to take a minute and talk about our friends over at Cajun Lights. When pleasure running at night or judging those nighttime field trials, you can put your trust in Cajun Lights. With the economical Cajun Bayou for the every now and then light user, the Cajun Micro for the nighttime feeds and around the house times, then the top level Cajun Blinder for those hardcore crossing getters at night. The Cajun Lights are headlamp style light that free up your hands for voice recorders or your GPS. They offer flood style lights in red, amber, and a white walking light. Then the top of the line 4-level main beam light. If you're having a hard time catching crossings at night, give the Cajun Light a try. And the red and amber setting to catch the game without distracting them. And with the easy flick of a switch, go back to your main beam light to catch your hounds in action and get those numbers. Visit their website today at CajunLights.com, and at the checkout, make sure you fill out the survey after your purchase and select Hounds Tales Podcast to receive 5% off your next purchase with Cajun Lights. Now, let's get back to the episode. And then, right now, it kind of hit me to talk about it too, was the rain. I've heard so many people, I see it during deer season, people, oh, it's raining, I'm not going out there. Man, I love running in the rain. God, I love running in the rain during deer season. But, strictly kind of talking about the pen dogs, you have to make that effort, and it sucks sometimes. I have 110% collar and jacket dogs up while it was absolutely monsooning on me. Just absolutely downpouring. But you got to You can't just let the dog sit because you're going to get a little wet. I mean, come on now. You have to make that sacrifice sometimes, and especially if you're watching your dogs, in my opinion. Of course, I love being in the rain. I'm weird like that. You know, as long as it ain't freezing, as long as I ain't freezing cold. But if I can get out there and judge some dogs in the rain, come on now, let's get after it. I don't mind it, but in the hindsight of that is, if you're out there and you're pleasure running and you have a night coming up and you get to pleasure run, then you need to be making sure that your dogs are casted in that rain. Make them learn how to run in the rain. People talk about, a thunderstorm's coming, I'm not going. Get out there. Get out there. The hunt that I won last year, the James River, I know there was a pile of dogs that went down because of the thunder. If that had been a clear, sunny day, I may not have won. I mean, who knows? That's just being honest. I know the truth, but my dog knows how to run into the rain. He's not scared of running in rain and thunder. And that's not talking crap about nobody's dogs. It's just honest truth. There was a lot of dogs that when it thundered, they shut them dogs down like a light. They were going and finding trucks and buggies to hide up under. That's why there's any chance that I can take and run in the rain, I make sure that they run through it. I'll run them a little longer to make sure that they run in that rain. I love conditioning for bad weather, because like I said, when you get to a hunt and the bad weather does come, then guess what? They know what it is. They know how to handle it. Or when it gets good weather, that's like, oh my gosh, this is a miracle. I love this. Let's keep going. That's just something man, if you're gonna be in this and you're competing, you want to compete on a higher level, even deer season. I mean, we've had wet deer seasons before. If it goes out and all you have is Saturdays to hunt, and it rains every Sunday, are you gonna just not go out because it's raining? Are you gonna waste your whole season because it's not raining? I wouldn't think so. But anyway, you train tough, then they're going to be tough. Just like an outside sports athlete, you think a marathon runner doesn't go out and train because it's raining that day? No, he's going out. He's going to go train. If it's his day to train, if it's his day to run, and he knows he needs to get that exercise in, he's going out. And the dogs need to be the same way, guys. Need to be the same way. Don't cut them no slack because the weather conditions suck. And another thing that I wanted to kind of touch base on while we're talking about weather, I do get this question quite a bit, is, and I wish I need to do some actual research on why. I don't know the technical answer behind this, and I don't know if I know it has to do with the scent sticking, but high pressure in the air will 110% tell you how your day of running is going to be. One of the biggest, there's two telltale signs, or actually three, that I can tell you on this situation. Low-hanging clouds. There's low-hanging clouds, to me, and I may be completely wrong on that, maybe it's not even related, but I've always understood it as low-hanging clouds mean higher pressure. And I don't know if there's any scientific evidence, but what I've always understood it, what I've always been told, and what makes most sense to me is if there are higher pressure in the air, then the high pressure is not letting the scent come off the ground. It's keeping it so pressed to the ground it makes the dog struggle. It doesn't give the chance for that scent to move, as in raise up a little bit, let it to where you don't have to have your nose planted to the ground. And I may be completely wrong on that. I may be just talking out of my butt here, but I know high pressure air situations never ever end up good going out. never end up good. Another way to tell and look for your high pressure situations, especially in the winter, is chimney smoke. I'm sure that if anybody's listening that may have rode around with their dad or their grandpa or something like that, and they probably saw a chimney on the way out to turn the dogs loose, and the smoke was blowing down. If you never asked them, this is why. They said, it ain't going to be a good day of running. The smoke's on the ground. Just like them low-hanging clouds. Or heavy, heavy fog. Super heavy, thick air and fog is terrible. But that high pressure is a lot of the cause, especially of that smoke. When that smoke comes off the chimneys and rolls off and just goes straight to the ground, you got a ton of high pressure in the air. And the dogs are not going to run. I'm not saying you have to quit. I just think that you need to, as a hunter, you need to prepare yourself for a not so easy running day. It's going to be one of those days where you're going to be absolutely disappointed sometimes because your jump dogs are going to go out there and run around in circles and maybe jump one, but they're not going to hold on to it. I'm not saying not. It's going to be harder to hold on to it because of this high pressure. So there's your big signs right there on difficult scenting conditions. But just like the other two weather situations that we talked about, don't just turn around and go home, especially if you're training. Obviously you're probably not going to turn around and go home if you're hunting, but if you're just training and trying to get some exercise in, then make sure you put them dogs on that out on those days. If a dog can learn to hold a track and once has the drive to hold a track in a high pressure situation where that smoke is coming just flat out off of the chimneys and rolling straight to the ground, if they can hold a track and a trail and run a piece of game during that kind of situation, then you got something. They're going to be good, and then when they get into good sending conditions and good weather conditions, they're just going to be that much more nasty. You will thank me later if you make sure you go out there and train in rough conditions. I promise you that. We're going to take a quick second and pause this episode and talk about our partners over at Elite Nutrition. Our hounds, they're athletes, guys. They give us their all each and every time that they're casted. Elite Nutrition offers an all-natural products to give your dogs the natural benefits they deserve. From the Canine Remove, an all-natural wormer, to the Electro Boost paste for an electrolyte replenishment, body fluid balance, and blood flow improvement. They also have products like Active Dog Powder for recovery and joint muscle support, Essential Dog Powder for daily vitamins and minerals, probiotics, prebiotics, and enzymes, and then the Canine Lactate Powder for nursing dogs to help with milk supply. There are tons of other products for y'all to check out at CajunLights.com. Then click on the Elite Nutrition section to explore. When you go check out, only at CajunLights.com, use the code HTElite10 to receive 10% off your Elite Nutrition products. Again, that's HTELITE, the number 10, to receive 10% off Elite Nutrition products only via CajunLights.com. I've been using their products over the past couple months, and I could not be happier with the results. See for yourself today, and we want to thank Elite Nutrition for taking a step forward into this field trial sport. Now, let's get back to the episode, guys. Another thing that I was thinking about here, and what, oh gosh, I gotta quit doing that. What really, excuse me, guys, sorry. What really got me thinking about this was I recently sold one of my Mo Money dogs, and I actually ended up selling it back to Mr. Doug Fuqua. When I had that dog, there was not a lot of motivation in the lots. It was a very timid dog. When you went into the lots and loaded all your other dogs up, he didn't come eagerly to the gate, ready to go hunting. There was no excitement about the dog. And when you got into the field, he did fine. He would put up points. He'd run. He does okay. Wasn't going to set the land speed record. And that was starting to really get to me, which I needed to cool down to. But it took me a little bit because I don't like getting rid of a dog prematurely. But I said, you know what? This dog deserves a better chance. And that's what I mean when I'm talking about this moving dog section right here. When you... Excuse me. Sorry, guys. Good gosh. I'm sure that's contagious, and I have some of y'all yawning in the vehicles right now. But sometimes putting a dog in a different environment will do so much better for the dog than you could ever imagine. I mean, so Doug's got that dog now, and if he walks to the gate, the dog's jumping off the freaking wire. He's ready to go. When he runs him, he said the dog looks real good, like good stride. And when I had him, he would run. He ran good, but he was just a dog. He wasn't anything that was like, yep, you're going to make my next champion. That was more like a, yeah, I hope we get a category kind of dog. But now the way Doug talks to him says it's a really good dog. It's got eagerness. It's happy. And I don't know. Sometimes there's just different situations make better fits for dogs. And I think this was one of those. So the reason I tell you this is if you have a dog and you're on the fence and you got one that's, say you got 6 dogs and you want to cull down to 4. Well, this dog's number flirts between the 4th best dog and the 5th best dog. But your other one in your hearts are a whole lot better. Give this other dog a chance at somebody's house. If you got the opportunity to make that happen, then get that dog into a different environment and make him change for the better. I say make, but see if he will change for the better. It happens a lot more than you think. And then you got some dogs that honestly just need to be a yard dog. You cool out there, you come in the house, whatever. Hope you don't get picked up by the daggone animal wardens and game wardens. Yeah. The whole premise behind that, guys, is don't be afraid to cull, because a dog, if you think you're doing it for the dog keeping around, which is what I thought about this trouble dog, it almost becomes a selfish situation. If that dog is not thriving where you're at, give that dog a chance somewhere else to thrive. Maybe he goes to Joe Blow's house, and Joe Blow don't really have good dogs. Now you gave him a good dog or sold him a good dog, whatever, and now he's building confidence at his other house, not being around dogs that are better than him. There's a lot of positives behind that. If you're trying to be the best, you're trying to build your kennels up, get rid of your weakest links. Then that also gives your weakest link a chance to be better in different environments. So, that's just some of my kind of hot take for this week on a couple things before we get into the golly, sorry guys. Before we get into the spotlight, that was some of the things I wanted to hit on. So, all right. Speaking of spotlight, let's go ahead and move into that right now. It's now time for the Spotlight, presented by Cajun Lights. This is where each week we will recognize winners and other accomplishments across the field trial world. Now let's shine a lights on these guys and these dogs, and let's get to this week's winners. All right, guys. On this week, we didn't have much going on from what I've seen. We're going to hit the first round of the Penn Series. Like I said earlier in the episode, it took 710 points to win. The dog that won is a dog named Special, out of Crisco Sundown and Crisco Star from Keith Harrell. That dog is a funny story. I actually really wanted to buy that dog for a while. George Elam had it, and they did really well with it, had a great career with it, and decided to move on from it. And I lollygagged around too much on giving them an answer, and Mr. Keith Harrell ended up buying it. And I actually ended up getting up with him, and we've talked about that dog, and it finally got to come down to the hunt, and I didn't even. It was funny. I didn't even realize that was the dog. And I know that sounds crazy, but I was so sleep deprived, man. We did the hunt, got the results done, and on the way home, I'm like, I got thinking about it. I said, "What was that dog that won?" And Logan was right. No, I'm sorry. Logan had mentioned it, I believe, and I just didn't click. And then Georgia called me later. He goes, that's that special dog that you wanted to buy. I was like, holy crap, no freaking way. And it never registered that dog was that dog, was who she was. But man, I thought that was kind of cool. Just a big roundabout, how it got to come back to a hunt that I was putting on and do so well. So congratulations to Mr. Keith Harrell on the win. Like I said, this dog's out of, kind of do this a little weird, but it is a Crisco Sundown and a Crisco Star. Dog's name is Special from Mr. Keith Harrell. Congratulations to you, bud. Beautiful hound. It was really good to see that dog do some work out there. It was actually not the dog that I thought was going to win. The dog that it was funny. The dog that I actually thought was going to be the winner of that hunt ended up not even being in the top 40. I was riding around collecting scores and checking on scores, and I saw a particular dog in there several times and scored the dog several times, but I must have been the only sucker over the whole pen scoring the dog several times because it did not have any luck. But all right, let's move into the two-day buggy and truck hunt at 95 Fox Run. Mr. Chad Leggett and his family always put on an excellent show down there, and it looked like it was a great time again. For this one, we're going to do day one high dog because that dog won a buggy for being a high dog day one. And that dog's name is Slip 'em in Teeny out of Champion Turd Hill Soul Train, and Slip 'em in Lucy from Slip 'em in Kennels. Then your best mouth for the weekend was WBT's Red Baron, and that dog's at a Champion WBT's Red and WBT's Annie Up from WBT July Kennels. Then your classiest hound, combination winner, and Derby winner of the truck is Champion ISK Lemonade out of Champion Kyle's Trigger and Champion ISK Soup from ISK and Big Creek Kennels. So, thank y'all so much for attending, for coming, for listening on here, guys. I'm working on it. I'm going to try to get ahead of the game here this week and maybe get one or two episodes, if I'm lucky, recorded so I can quit coming in on Tuesday night when I'm sleepy as crap and we're trying to record an episode. But, alright, guys, thank y'all so much for listening. Y'all are awesome. Love everybody. And like always, guys, we'll catch you next week. And like always, happy hunting.